Can you beat Mafia 1 Definitive Edition without using guns? That was the question I had after finishing it. See, I like to make some challenges in video games, right? A few months ago I tried to complete The Last of Us 2 without using any weapons, and that was quite fun. So I thought, let's do it again with Mafia 1. So my goal for this challenge was to not use any guns to complete the game. Melee attacks and melee weapons like a knife and baseball bat were allowed, as well as throwables like Molotovs and grenades. I pretty much wanted to come as far as possible without pulling a trigger on a gun. But that's easier said than done, especially if you're part of the Mafia. I will cover chapter for chapter of my no gun attempt, so relax, get your cigars and whiskey ready and enjoy the show. Also leave a like if you want to see more challenge videos on my channel. Ah yes, the prologue. In this short chapter, Tommy tells Detective Norman how he refused to use guns in the 30s while being part of Don Salieri's family. Obviously he doesn't believe him, so Tommy starts explaining. An offer you can't refuse. Tommy was just chilling by his cab when two random guys kidnapped him and ordered him to escape from chasing enemies. With no other choice I drove away and lost the pursuers. I drove them to Salieri's bar where they paid me money to fix my taxi. All in all, it was a great day. No guns were needed and those two guys were pretty nice. Running Man. The chapter started out really boring. I had to drive a few unfriendly passengers around the town. I was on a coffee break when I suddenly got attacked by the pursuers from last night. With no other choice I ran away, because I had no way to defend myself. I ran to Salieri's bar where my two new best friends helped me deal with my problem. We all calmed down and smoked a cigarette, and then we agreed to kill each other on another day. After that I talked to Don Salieri. I told him that I wanted revenge on those guys and he was like, I got you. Go to their bar and damage their cars. That would be a nice message. And I was like, hell yeah! So I went outside with Paulie to meet Ralph and Vincenzo. Vincenzo is the gun expert, so I had to tell him straight away, look, I'm not gonna use any guns, like, they are not my style. And he was like, no problem my guy, here take a baseball bat and a few Molotovs. After that I also met Ralph. Nice guy, kinda weird but seems to be really good with cars. Anyways, so Paulie and I drove to Morello's bar. I knocked out a guard and even beat a few more with my baseball bat. Then I threw Molotovs on the cars to destroy them. After that we had to lose the cops and we went back to Salieri's bar. No guns were needed in this chapter. For the next mission we had to collect some money. They call it ordinary routine. But I had to talk to Vincenzo before we drove away, and oh boy, I was in for a surprise. He wanted to give me a gun, but I refused to take it. But he was so sad and almost started crying, so yeah, I know.
Come on, don't leave me hanging here.
So I did him this favor and picked it up. I was okay with aiming the gun, but when he told me to pull the trigger, I was like, no? But he assured me that there are no bullets inside and that I shouldn't act like that. It's the goddamn tutorial after all and I need to at least pretend to shoot. Well, that was a clear message and so I pulled the trigger. I put the gun away and drove with Sam and Paulie to our first destination. Everything was fine until we checked the motel outside of the town. Sam and Paulie both got shot, so I had to save the day and kill all the enemies. At first I sneaked around like an assassin, but I got detected and had to use my fists. But soon enough I got a baseball bat and I finished them all one by one. Sure, it took me a few tries, but what are you gonna do, right? Turns out the guy with the money escapes and I need to chase him down. And this part right here was the first real challenge in this run, because you are supposed to shoot his car with your gun. This will make him stop. You also get chased by his guys, so even more problems. After many failed attempts, I finally had the right strategy. His destination is Morello's bar. As soon as he reaches the gate of the bar, the mission is over. So I chased him down and thankfully one enemy car had an accident. And the other enemy car still followed us. But I passed him before he could reach the bar and then I blocked the entrance with my own car so that he couldn't get in. The AI is programmed to try like 5 times to drive around an obstacle. After that the car just gives up and stops moving. So I damaged his car with my baseball bat and at the same time I used one of my chasing enemies to shoot at me while I was behind the car. Thankfully his car exploded and I collected the money without using a single bullet. So obviously I had to flex on Detective Norman. He couldn't believe how brilliant my strategy was. I told him that I had the biggest mentor possible for this, Don Morello himself. Yeah, if you didn't know, there was this one time where someone tried to kill him in a car accident. But he was brave enough to improvise and to take a tire iron out of his trunk and to finish the bloody assassin. Some might even say that he was like Captain America himself by not using a single gun to defend himself. And that's just inspiring to see, you know? Chapter number 5, Fair Play. That was the race chapter, so besides wishing that I had a gun during the race for my enemies, competitors, there was no actual gun involved. Everything went smooth and Don Salieri was really proud of me. So let's talk about Sarah. The chapter, not her, although it's about her. So Sarah and Tommy were on a romantic late night walk around Little Italy when suddenly some random dudes attacked them. Now, being the gentleman that I am, I had to exterminate every single one of them to defend Sarah. I only used my fists and a wooden plank, still no guns needed. For the next chapter, we even went to kill more of the guys that attacked Sarah. I went to Vincenzo and told him what happened, and he was like, I got you. Here, take these 15 baseball bats and show them a lesson. And I was like, say less. So Paulie and I beat the shit out of them, but a few escaped and so we had to chase them down. This area right here was my next big challenge. It took me a lot of attempts, but I finally got through all of the enemies. Thank God for health regeneration, right Paulie? I just had to hide from the shotgun guy until Paulie distracted him. But in the end I also got him. I killed all of the enemies with my baseball bat and then we chased down the last two. And for some reason Paulie left my car immediately, so I drove without him. I think I might have said something wrong, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted some fresh air. Anyways, the enemies had a car crash and when I stopped to check it out, Paulie was back. One guy was still alive, but I couldn't pull the trigger. It was a no gun run after all, so Paulie shot him for me. Thank God. I said I owe you one and we went home. But little did we know that the other guy in the car survived. Salieri was not happy. And so I had to kill a prostitute and a manager for some reason, I don't know, while Sam took care of the survivor at the funeral. I also had to blow up the hotel, so I talked to Vincenzo and we agreed that a bomb is not a gun. So I took the dynamite and had a conversation with Sam. He asked me to not kill the prostitute and I was like, alright, I don't want to shoot her anyways, so okay. I went to the hotel and found the manager. And being stupid like I am, I thought I could hit him in front of everybody. Well, turns out Tommy does a special animation just for this moment. He shakes his hand and then shoots him. After seeing that, I was devastated. Especially because I had to replay the whole chapter because there's a checkpoint after you kill him. Well, 10 minutes later I was back, but this time I attacked a other normal enemy first. This led them to shoot me and so I had the opportunity to kill the manager with melee attacks. After that I ran away to the second floor. Yes, by the way, I ran away a lot. It's sometimes more efficient to run to the next checkpoint. So I found Sam's girlfriend and spared her life. She promised me to leave the town. Then I ignored all the enemies and ran past them to the office. There I placed the dynamite and the room went boom. I ran away from a few cops and finally reached the church. In the church I chased down the survivor of the car accident only to find out that I have to kill every enemy in the church to progress further. Well, sometimes you just can't run away, I guess. So I tried it again, but this time I killed all the bad guys one by one and finally killed the survivor. Or so I thought. He survived and almost shot me in a cutscene, but Sam showed up and killed him just in time. We escaped and the mission was complete. So there you have it, 8 chapters done without using any guns. I was pretty proud of myself, but it was time. I took courage and admitted to Detective Norman what happened in chapter 9, a trip to the country. So I was checking the farm, I was looking for Sam, right? By the way, the weather was horrible. It was raining and stormy, but when I found the truck I got surrounded by enemies and in this cutscene Tommy did something disgusting. He used his shotgun. Can you believe it? So I failed my no gun run at this point. Thanks Tommy. No, but for real, it was only the first bad omen for this mission. I killed all enemies with melee attacks and we fought our way to Sam. I then defended Sam with my life. I had 4 Molotovs that I could use and after many attempts we finally made it to the next checkpoint. The part where Paulie gives you a Tommy gun and you have to shoot police cars from the back of the truck. And the game forces you to shoot. Or so I thought. But I turned down the difficulty to easy. I know. But this actually helped because I didn't have to shoot any bullet. The truck was getting almost no damage and we progressed to the next checkpoint. The one where the truck gets stuck. And here I also tried to wait. But, and it makes me sad to say that, I couldn't progress. I had to kill 1 policeman with 1 precise headshot to get to the next part. And yes, it only got worse, because now I had to deal with the armored police car. Long story short, I used a few magazines of my Tommy gun to take down the truck. It was in this chapter where I failed my no guns playthrough of Mafia 1 Definitive Edition. So I went home and told Sarah about my failure. Obviously, she was really disappointed with me. But we agreed that I have to at least try to beat the rest of the game without using any guns. Chapter 10, Omerta. This is the one where Tommy needs to kill Frank. The beginning was pretty easy. I only had to follow some car to the airport while listening to a baseball game in a radio. At the airport I could finally sneak around some enemies like a ghost. But because I had some Molotovs in my pocket, I also used them, you know? I found Frank and told him that I'm on a no-gun playthrough. So I spared his life and he escaped with his family. Our next chapter, visiting rich people. The one where you need to sneak into a mansion. Well, what can I say, it was the perfect mission for me. Gunshots alert guards. I mean, what else could I want? I got some stealth kills and we reached the safe. Unfortunately we got detected right after that because Salvatore activated the alarm, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. With my precise melee attacks, auto regeneration and a cheap escape with a car. So let's move on to the next chapter, the one in a parking garage. I had a bad feeling about this meeting right from the start. A few things just seemed suspicious. Well, turns out I was right and we got attacked by Morello's guards. Of course, I only used my melee attacks, and that was actually the point where I found out that the enemies don't turn around. I sneaked up behind them and they simply didn't care. Anyways, after checking with the guys, we made the decision to escort the truck outside. Sam had a few small scratches, but nothing he couldn't handle. So we fought our way through. I even extinguished some fire only to find out that Sam, well, I don't even know how to explain it. I wasn't there, but we made it on our second try. I even had some grenades to blow stuff up. It was quite fun, until the escort step. Not gonna lie, it took me a lot of attempts, and there was definitely some luck involved. Sometimes the enemies destroyed the truck right away, and sometimes they had an accident. Normally you are supposed to shoot them with your pistol, but you know the rules. Anyways, I got lucky enough to escape with the truck and used some 500 IQ strategies to get rid of the last enemy car. The Don was happy and so was I. It was all perfect until chapter number 13. Salieri and Tommy went to a restaurant to eat something peacefully when suddenly Morello's guys attacked the restaurant. So obviously we had to kill all the enemies, and although I didn't order one, most of the enemies were a piece of cake. All besides one. The last one was hiding on a balcony in the backyard. Not gonna lie, I was almost ready to fail again and to shoot him, but for some reason I saw that I had grenades in my pocket. I don't think that I need to explain what happened next. Anyways, the Don was mad and so we went to find Carlo, the rat, to beat him up. And that's where it gets interesting. See, Tommy is supposed to chase Carlo until the dead end. Then you're supposed to shoot him with your pistol while he climbs up a ladder. Alright, so you can't use a weapon or melee attacks until this last part, because I outsmarted him and blocked his path, only to not be able to kill him. Sometimes I was even so fast to block his path that he just stood there and gave up. But I think he was in God mode and I couldn't hit him anyways, so we had a bit of a problem. But I had one last ace up my sleeve. One grenade. So What do you think happens if you throw a grenade at someone? Well, the answer will shock you, at least in Carlos' case. He simply doesn't care. He is immune against explosions, unlike poor Tommy, who died several times in this video to verify my theory. See, I tried and tried again, but in the end I had to shoot him. So I shot his stupid toe and that did the trick. The cutscene played, but I lost again.
I told you to shut the fuck up!
Chapter number 14, I think. Happy birthday. Tommy is ordered to dress as a sailor to get undetected on a private ship and to find a hidden revolver so that he can assassinate an important counselor. You can spot the problem in this plan, right? The game forces you to take cover on a roof and to shoot him with the gun. Of course, I tried to run down, but there's a 10-second countdown if you leave your area. You can also not jump down because of invisible walls, so I had no other choice. I shot him and escaped by running away from all the enemies. I didn't have to kill anyone else, but that was only a small comfort for having so much blood on my hands. 2 failed missions in a row. It couldn't get worse than that. In the next chapter, you have to kill Morello's brother, who is always lucky. I blew up his car, but someone else was inside. We stormed a diner, but he escaped. I followed him on a motorcycle, but he still escaped. What followed were countless attempts of me running from one checkpoint to the next one to progress further. Fun fact, if you make it to one checkpoint and you die and you restart the checkpoint, all the enemies behind you are gone, although you didn't kill them. Still, clearing the last yard was a real challenge, but once I knocked out all the enemies, I made my way to Morello's brother. And who would have guessed? I had no ammo left in the cutscene, so Tommy didn't shoot him. Instead, he finally embraced his inner no guns mentality and burned him alive with gasoline and fire. It was time for chapter 15, Creme de la Creme. It was time to take out Morello himself. After a car chase, Morello stopped at the airport. I ran to the next checkpoints and let Sam and Paulie kill most of the enemies for me. Until we reached the plane, and unfortunately I was again forced to shoot while someone else is driving. See, you're supposed to shoot the plane engines before it escapes, and unfortunately there's no other way. Just like with the armored truck in chapter 9, I used a Tommy gun to destroy someone else's vehicle as well as my hopes and dreams for a no-gun playthrough.
He knows it now.
And because it couldn't get any worse than that, the next mission was to assassinate a politician from a prison tower with a sniper rifle. Yes. Do I even need to describe this chapter? Because in the end, it doesn't matter if I escaped while having 4 stars and being chased by like 50 policemen in prison. Having to restart over and over only for this one shotgun guy to not instantly kill me doesn't make up the fact that I picked up a sniper rifle and murdered this poor guy in front of dozens of people. Again, there was no other way. I couldn't even exit the scope until I pulled the trigger. So the game truly made me a murderer at this point. Chapter 17, just for relaxation, was finally exactly what the title meant. I could relax and do some stealth kills, no guns whatsoever. So let's talk about chapter 18, the bank heist. And apart from restarting a few times, it wasn't so bad. The police is heavily armored and Paulie is no help while carrying the money. But it was possible. Which brings us to the final chapter, the death of art. Tommy versus Sam. I couldn't believe it. Sam killed Paulie and now he also wanted to kill me. I knew what I had to do. Hours of practice led to this moment. Without hesitating, I ran from one checkpoint to the next one. I almost killed no enemies. I only had one final goal, killing Sam without a gun to redeem myself on this playthrough. So I progressed room for room until I found Sam. Fun fact, he even got injured although I didn't even touch him. Anyways, I had 2 Molotovs on me, so I used one for the last enemies and catched up with Sam. And in a last moment of epic perfect timing, I threw my last Molotov at Sam and beat the shit out of him. So that's it, that was my no-gun playthrough. Detective Norman was still impressed and agreed on helping Tommy, although I fired like a few dozen bullets between 1930 and 1950. But hey, at least I never killed someone with a shotgun, right? Especially if they are in melee distance. but what do I know? Life is tough, and if you are part of the Mafia, you can sometimes choose to just break someone's bones instead of killing them with guns, as you can see in my playthrough. Just think about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you want to see more challenges like this one on my channel. It takes forever to make them. Also check out my The Last of Us No Weapons playthrough if you want. But yeah, thanks for watching and I see you next time.